What's going on, you guys? So, Grand Tactician, the guys behind the Civil War 1861 to 1865, just put out another dev blog that I want to actually cover because this one sounds juicy. It covers managing your armies. So, this is going to be something I'm very interested in because who doesn't like managing their army? All right, let's go right into it. First, I want to take a look at this beautiful screen grab here. So, gives you the list of disabled men. So it has listed here the troops, the disabled, 1st Brigade. Gives you a little bit their information here. State Illinois, remaining 1 month. Oh, wow, okay. So it looks like in this game, troops have a certain allotment of time. Because right here it says contract 24 months. Oh, wow, this is awesome. So it looks like when you recruit troops, like a brigade or a division, right? You're not going to have them for the entirety of the game. They're going to be signing contracts. So you're going to have to base your military campaigns on that. That's really interesting. So if you're kind of go for a campaign and a quarter of your army's contracts are up within, a month, you probably might want to revise your strategy there. So that's going to be really cool. That's going to add a lot of more dimensions to this game. All right, rocking and rolling right into it. Volunteers needed. War, war, war. The beginning of the Civil War saw both sides mustering volunteers to fight for their cause. When the war was set to last 90 days tops, there was no lack of men willing to join the ranks. The initial recruitment system was not designed for a long war. As war dragged on and the number of casualties kept rising, the fervor died with the brave volunteer soldiers. Soon both sides would struggle to fill their ranks. During the campaign of Grand Tactician and Civil War, players will need to manage their armies carefully to keep on fighting. Here, support and morale play a key role. Each state is tracked for support for both sides of the war and the morale of their population. With high morale or war fervor, you will find volunteers to fight for the side they support, especially if the contract time is short. Some states will end up supplying troops for both sides. Wow, okay, that's interesting. But as the war drags on and list of casualties within the state grows longer, the willingness to join up will diminish. While volunteers could be difficult to lead at times, especially when the end of the contract period is near, drafting could cause opposition among the public and increase rate in desertion. This means population is the key, and there are ways to influence the population, from policies to economy and to immigration, to having armies foraging up all the food in the countryside, or even raiding or burning the crops to deny support for the other side. Wow, okay, that's awesome. With this management of the population, you can end up with no one left willing to join the ranks, and many of the servicemen reported being away without leave. Oh, wow, so people can just literally desert in this game. So on top of all the other contract issues, population and policies you have to implement, you have to be cognizant of the AWOL troops. Interesting. In addition to recruiting new units, infantry, cavalry, and artillery, a player has the tools to manage the organization of the army. Since brigades can be formed into divisions and corps and placed on the armies or garrison in fortification, this is done in the army management view as seen in the image above. By dragging and dropping units into the order of battle, while changes within the army will happen fast, transferring a unit to another theater will take time. Whenever a new unit is created, player has the ability to appoint the commander he wishes. Manage the commander is important. Here, too, the player has some options. There are 3 types of commanders available: professional soldiers, mostly West Pointers, volunteers, and high-ranking political figures, and each type has its own characteristics. The professionals are trained for warfare and come with a special experience in one of the 4 main branches in the U.S. military of the time: infantry, cavalry, artillery, and engineer. So I just wanted to cover this. So professional soldiers, you're looking at Grant, Robert E. Lee. Volunteers, I'm thinking more along the lines of Joshua L. Chamberlain, and high-ranking political figures, and we all know who they are. So we run into that a lot. A good example is the 3rd Corps commander in the Battle of Gettysburg, which his name is eluding to me. I'm going to put it on the screen, but he was a prominent political figure at the time. Even though most are captains, as the U.S. Army is merely 16,000 men prior to the Civil War, they can be trusted with command responsibilities wherever needed. The volunteers are from the recruiting state and usually have no experience of military matters. They too can rise in rank but require combat experience. A political strongman assigned in high command within your army could bring in the support of his state, but could also create personal issues within the leadership and be hard to get rid of without a political backlash. In commander management, the personalities matter as will seniority and fame and political influence. Not always you can put the best man in command of the largest armies, and in case of defeat, even the best commander could lose the trust of his men and the population and needs to be replaced to avoid a drop in support. That's interesting. So even if you get to put Grant in command of an army and you know he's going to do damn well, if he suffers defeat because you put him in a battle they can't win, and the troops don't support him, you might not be able to utilize him, or you're going to have a lot of negative characteristics. Unit customization: when recruiting, player has the first opportunity to customize a new unit, though this is not necessary if the player does not want to. The color of the uniform can be changed for the unit to stand out, or the main weapon change. In case of weapons, most important weapon types of the Civil War will be available, but being able to use them requires money, industry, or import. A mix of obsolete weapons like flintlock muskets for infantry or shotguns for troopers will always be available, and the more standard weapons types will cost a lot less money and time to produce in numbers. So while equipping all of your army with repeating rifles or breech loaders could sound tempting, it won't be possible for your armories to produce the more complex weapon types fast enough in required numbers. When the volunteer or force via conscription greenhorns are formed into brigades and ordered to join an army, they are not much of soldiers. Drilling them will do some good, but only with combat experience. Seeing the elephant will they become an effective fighting force, especially if they were led by a competent officer. When a unit gains experience and stands out from the rest, it's possible that they can get specialized training, attributes, a perk that can make them more effective in a certain way of fighting, or allows them to carry out feats others cannot. The units can become known for its fearsome charge. Texans always move them, or sheer discipline. They must be made of iron. Or it could have specially trained sharpshooters for effective long-range engagements, or engineers to build pontoon bridges. The number of these perks will be limited, making the specialized units really stand out. With enough experience or heroic feat in a battle, they will gain better in their trait and even become an elite unit, in which the player can rename the unit. Oh, okay, cool. I like that. Yes, it does make a difference whether a unit is called First Brigade or Iron Brigade, doesn't it? Well, yeah. And give them a unique flag they will carry proudly in battle. Armies and fleets can also receive custom attributes to make them more effective. A balloon corps would help in an intelligence gathering, while rigorous force marches could earn fame as the foot cavalry, to mention a few. Unit customization options are historical and hopefully will make you care more about your units and the fate of the men serving them. They will not make super soldiers out of the troops, but the public will love great stories about the famous units, and in a desperate fight, the arrival of an elite unit could rally wavering men to stand with their ground instead of turning and running. Wow. Okay, that's incredible. So all I can say is I could not ask for more, honestly, because there's so many mechanisms going on in here. So if you have an elite unit going into battle and your line's about to break, having them going into battle can actually inspire units around them to actually turn and fight. I do like that they can get certain characteristics. You can rename them. That's also awesome thing. Let's see what else was really juicy here. This is normal that you can change weapon types. Obviously, you're not going to be able to put repeating rifles to your entire Army of the Potomac, but having a few in there and adding more over time is going to be much benefit to you. Let's see what else. I like the fact here, so you can get professional soldiers. You always want a Grant or a Lee or a Longstreet to run your army, and that they're going to win battles. Volunteers, you're going to have those people like Joshua L. Chamberlain that'll come out and you're like, wow, where was this guy all my life? And then high-ranking political figures, which will have one negative side, which is basically they suck at combat or leading troops, but at the opposite end of the spectrum, they're going to be good for bolstering troops from that state, especially if you're low on troops. So positive and negatives there. I like that. But yeah, overall, guys, I am really looking forward to this game here because honestly, there's so many mechanisms in this game that I just didn't expect them to add. Like the fact that you're on contract for 24 months, that you're not going to have them for the entire length of the game, that you're going to have to be cognizant of those key factors. So yeah, that's going to be really interesting. And that if you take Grant, you're like, okay, I have Grant running the army, and you just think you're going to throw him into any battle and win. Well, that's not the case there, because if he loses a couple battles, your troops are not going to want to fight under him. So you're going to probably have to take him off on the leadership aspect, because those troops are not going to be cool with him being in command, and you might lose troops from that state, or even have more AWOL troops in that army. So yeah, so you're going to have to, it's a nice mix of planning, tactics on your part, and, policies that you have to enable to get more troops and from that home state. So yeah, I really love this dev diary, and I can't wait for the next one. I really can't wait for this game to come out. This is going to be an incredible game. I hope 2019 is the release date. Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoy this. I will catch you guys in the next one. See you then.